Good evening, I'm Gary Robinson. I'm talking about the Spring Carnival 2020 for www.horseracingaustralia.info. I'm using the Wingform GTX program and I'm going to take you through my early look. This is recorded on the 7th of October, so on the Wednesday evening before the weekend. We've got some rain coming. We're really not sure how it's going to act, whether it will be seriously wet for the weekend or not. So we'll just go ahead the way it is. Obviously, this first race at Caulfield, you can see here that it's none of the horses have had a start. So we can gratefully move on from there. No form to be done. The second race at Caulfield is worth $200,000. It's for 3-year-old fillies. It's over 1,200. So once again, I don't really have to go through this because the program knows what it has to do. It's a 1,200 metres, fastest horse wins. The only bad form, I suppose, is Caulfield. That's because it's still a maiden. So it's got a penalty in there of 20. Obviously, it would have a 5.3 improvement bonus based on one of its runs, but overall it gets a 20-point penalty for being a maiden in a race for basically tried horses. So all the other horses have had a win. Caulfield is yet to do so. Even if it did, the rating would only come up to about 20 if that. So let's move on now. And Randwick Race 1 is only a Class 3. It's the Tab Highway Handicap. We're going to go to Caulfield Race 3 as a listed race. I'm not actually interested in looking at that particular race where I've got Runson going well as an 8-year-old on top. But working through this when it's only a listed race, I'm not too worried about that. Let's move on now to the Group 2 at Randwick. Once again, this is an easy race to assess because it's over 1,200. Basically, the fastest horse wins. Osamu down here would be worth 61.8, except I've penalised Osamu. And the reason for that is it is still a maiden. Okie doke. Caulfield Race 4 is for the mares. It's a Group 3. Liars on top, rated $7 from How Romantic. And so on. Liar was very, very disappointing last start, I have to say. But once again, it's a 1,200 metre race. We work it on which horses have produced the fastest times. Liar can obviously improve. It'll be her third run from a spell. She's much, much better than what her last start revealed. And How Romantic is obviously in it as well. Zilong is renewing and did all right last time. Okay. Moving along now to Randwick Race 3. It's only a benchmark. Let's not worry too much about that. Caulfield Race 5. Once again, we're looking at 1,100 metre race. We just look at the horses that are fastest. Haydock, disappointed first up, could only run 8th. Still has the fastest time of any of these runners. Bold Star, also disappointing, finished 6th. Was expected to do well down the straight 6th. Dirty Work has run a 3rd and a 4th. And had 3 wins in a row before it went out for a spell. So it could possibly improve. But I'm looking at a race here where I don't see that I'm going to make a lot of money out of it because clearly we go right down here to Diamond Effort, which ran 5th last start. Looks like it's going to be the favourite. That's the prediction anyway. So I'm moving along. I'm not looking at anything special in that race. Benchmark 78, leave me out of there. We can bet those midweek if we wanted to. In Caulfield Race 6 is more interesting. It's called the Ned Stakes, but it's only worth $1 million or whatever. $1 million divided by 6 horses, that's not a bad opportunity, is it? Anyway, not to worry. So Caulfield Race 6 Humidor is an 8-year-old, but it's going so damn well. It's hard to see what could happen. However, last start, as you can see, it finished behind Russian Camelot, and Russian Camelot being a 4-year-old is only going to improve, I think. And you'll find that pretty much all of these were previously involved in a similar race. If I go down here to compare, I can see that there you are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the starters were up against one another last start. And so obviously Russian Camelot is 1.8 length winner with Humidor. Arcadia Queen, Gala Schopenhauer views. So it pretty much will probably play out the same way. The only possibility you're thinking, well, Humidor, could it improve, but as an 8-year-old, I don't think so. Okie doke. There's no money in that race. You're expecting to be well odds on with Thrush and Camelot, so maybe have a look at it. That's about all you can do. The Group 2 at Randwick is the Sandbox Stakes. It's over 1,500. The only one that's got a negative on it is this one, but even if you added the 20 points back, it would only take it up to 60.9. Our net rating for Prime Star is on 65, then 62.5, 62.3. Quite an open race, as you can see from that, and really disappointing to see only 7 runners in that race. Okay, and the Group 1, that's 1,000 guineas, and this is a really important race, and you can see Hungry Heart is going down to Melbourne now, along with Vangelic. Obviously, the Damsel is not going to carry on and go to Melbourne. And it's interesting, if we can have a look here, if I click the mud button, it'll tell us if the ratings change, if it's going to be a wet track. So if I click on the mud, what happens? Hungry Heart and Vangelic just become closer again. The form, Sydney form, has been great with Hungry Heart and Vangelic, and I see no reason to change my mind unless something extraordinary happens. Okie doke. In this particular one, it's just an open handicap, so we can stay right out of that. We've got a Group 1 in Caulfield Race 8, the Caulfield Guineas for the Colts. Tagaloa, I was disappointed. It was a good run first up. I was disappointed that the horse could only run 6th at second up. However, being third up to date, it could come right back. So there is room for improvement, and it was only beaten 1.8 lengths by Behemoth, who is not in the field today. Ole Kirk was absolutely brilliant last start, and as you can see, rated quite well. They ran 82.61, which for Rosehill this time of the year only gives you a net rating of 57.5, but the week before that scored a 66.8 over the 1200. Okie doke. You can see that Billy Pike is going to ride it, so that's another positive. So I've got Tagaloa, and the form for that one comes back from the 1200 here, 68.2 on the 22nd of February at Caulfield. As I said, 2 runs from a spell. They haven't rated very high, but I have high hopes that his 3rd run from a spell he can improve, but those 2 are the main ones. Okay, moving right along now. I just had to look here. Oh, sorry, I had to go out to Malwonga, didn't I? Okay, 20-point negative there. With add that up, it'd be 63.1, which would take it up among the chances. If we look at Malwonga, hasn't been beaten. Its last run was on the 12th of September at Rosehill. So that's about 24 days in between runs. That last run was 21 days, and it's possible that Waller is preferring that Malwonga does have that break. So you've got to bear that into your thinking, because it was favourite last 2 starts and won. It's going to be quite a short price this time as well. You would certainly leave it in your quaddie, I can tell you that. If we wanted to take it out, all we've got to do is go to Malwonga. In the program, you see minus 20 there. We can take it back. We'll put it back. It won't hurt to put it back, because it's certainly better than most of the horses below it. Sometimes you've got to assume that the trainer knows what he's doing. So, still only rates at 4th, however. Okie doke. Randwick Race 7, there's a Group 1 Spring Championship Stakes. And Monty Filler, we've got it rated odds on. I wonder why that would be. Could it be because last start it ran 93.04, just about ran the track record at Randwick over the 1600. It was only a week ago, so it's going to be a tough ask to follow up 7 days later. But it wouldn't be running if Payne didn't think it was up to the job. 6 starts for 3 wins, tells the story, hasn't run at the distance, but then a lot of these others haven't either. So at this stage, I would be very keen on Monty Filler. I don't know what price it's going to be, but by golly, it's going to be hard to beat, isn't it? Okay. We're moving to the Group 1, the Toorak Handicap. I remember getting a winner of this one year at 100 to 1. It was really good. It was one of Cummings' horses. I actually stumbled on an interview with Cummings probably 3 or 4 days before the race, and he gave it a chance even though it had been going badly. He said no. He said it's going to improve dramatically at the weekend. Now, I have to admit here, I am somewhat know a bit about Chief Ironside. One of our clients has got a good chunk of this fellow. It's second up. If we have a look last time, when it was second up, it only finished fourth, but only beaten the neck behind Dr. Drill. Before that, it won second up at Moonee Valley. That was October last year. And can it do it again this time? It's hard to say. But once again, Chris Lees has taken it all the way down to Melbourne. It has to run anyway, so the opinion is that it might have a chance. But it's right on the cusp for us because it's only had 3 wins from 20 starts, which is 15%. We apply a 20-point penalty on such horses who have only won 20%. In this case, the 20% is because it's second up. If I add that 20 onto there, we do find that it comes up to 67.7, so you've got to take that into account. Our top horse here is Age of Chivalry, which ran a 66.5 win form rating back in February. It's had 3 runs from a spell. Obviously, it's improving. Was third there at Moonee Valley, only beaten 2.5 lengths behind Behemoth, and that was a Group 1 there. But it would have to improve, and look at this. It's in barrier 15, which would be pretty much of a disadvantage in this class of race, that's for sure. Unipal, 3.8 lengths winner last start, went really well. Its best form for us has been at Randwick, at 63.4 last October. And if it gets up to that, it'll be very, very hard to beat. Has started this track, 4 starts for a win and 2 placings. And of course, one of those was last start when it won by just under 4 lengths. Has to be a chance again. Okay. Moving along now, are there any more group races? Group 3 at Randwick, air to air. I'm not going to look too deeply into this. If you added 20 points onto this one, it would be 66, and you've got to say, okay, what's the disadvantage? And here it's because it's going to be probably only 22 days since its last start, so I really, really must credit it back. So that's what I have to do, and I credit that 20 points back to it. And this is its real true form. Now I can't even find it. Well, there you go. Okay, it's up here somewhere. So anyway, moving right along. Caulfield, we've got a Group 2, the Herbert Power Stakes in race 10, the last race of the day. Zabrowski, I was really, really disappointed with its run in the Metropolitan. They've taken it down because they've probably got no choice. These are the races it has to be in. It has to move on as a Group 1, beaten 4 lengths, hardly made any ground. However, if we have a look down here, we find it has never, ever won a race on a good track, but on a slow track, it's had 4 starts for 2 wins and a second on the heavy. So this is a horse that's looking for a soft track, and if it gets it in Melbourne, then all of a sudden it becomes quite a good chance. Okay, so that's something to look at. Platinum Invader, it's come over from New Zealand. It's had 2 runs from a spell, done pretty much nothing. Its only good run was in New Zealand on the 1st of January, winning by just under 3 lengths. It's only had 4 wins altogether. Once again, it looks here like it's best on a softish track. So it's had 3 wins on the soft track. And on the good track, it's had 1 win, but that was a very, very good win. So keep that one in mind as well. And Mahamides, well, I don't know what's going on with that. The last 2 runs have not been good. I think that concludes our run for today. Back to an ordinary benchmark 78 for the Randwick program. So out of all those races, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but you'll see my weekend feature race will be in the diary for anybody who cares to look on Saturday. Thanks for watching.